what is cell and many things about the cells in the previous session. So today we will study more about the cell. So before going into the topic, let us first see what Swiflearn is. As you already know by now, that Swiflearn is the India's most sincere learning destination for classes 1 to 10. Right? Okay. So what do we get over here? All the classes in Swiflearn are live, 100% live and interactive classes. So over here in our classes, the teacher explains all the things and the students can ask any sort of doubt if they have any sort of confusion and clear all of them, right, in the class only. Secondly, we give personalized attention to all the students, each and every student, because in each of our badges, maximum 6 students are present. It can be of the batch of 1 student or 2 student or 3 student or maximum 6 students, not more than that. So that help us to give personalized attention to each of you. Fine. Thirdly, we have a very good dedicated academic mentor team who continuously keep a track on the progress of the student. What is the student doing in the homework, in the class, how they are improving, where they are lagging, everything is tracked by our academic mentor team. Fine. And fourthly, which is very important, that we cover all the syllabus as per your school examination schedule, and also we handle the custom request. So it may happen that you have certain chapters in your school exam, in case of half yearly or the final exam, where you need more attention, right? So you can tell it to us and we will arrange those classes or the those topics. Previously we will cover all of them and then we will go on to the rest of the topics. So we handle this custom request like this. Okay, so these are all our general features of Swiflearn. Now let us move on to our key features. Fine. So these four are our key features, where the first one is we keep the detailed progress report of all the students and how they are performing in the homework, how they are attending the classes, they are doing the regular classes or not, everything is tracked, and we provide this progress report to the parents. Right. Secondly, we have the Swiflearn academic test series, which we call as the SAT. Over here, you can perform and you will be able to understand where you are standing. Okay. Thirdly, you can take unlimited practice test after completing each and every topic. Okay, so this is also very important. After reading or revising the topic, you need to look after how you are performing in the question answer, right? How you have to solve the question answer. So you can take the practice test over here, as well as we have some subjective test for the school exam, where you need to write down the answer. You can provide the diagram, graph and all of the things, where our team members, our teachers will check each of your answers and they will give you the tips where to improve and how to improve. So these are our key features in Swiflearn, and for experiencing all of this, please book a free trial class and experience all these features. Fine. So now what you have to do, please subscribe our channel in YouTube, press the bell icon and never miss any update of the upcoming YouTube classes. Fine. So once again, welcome all of you to the Swiflearn YouTube classes. Fine. Chalo. So what you need to do in the class, please like, comment and share it with all your friends and family members. So now let us move on to our topic. So as I have already said that this is the second session of the chapter cell, right? So we have already studied about what a cell is and how they are present in our body, what are the different shapes of the cell, what are the different sizes of the cell, and a little bit about the different functions of the cell, है ना, in the previous session. So today we will learn more about the cell. We will learn about the detail of the cell. So what we will discuss today, our first topic of discussion is what is tissue, how the different cells are forming the tissue and what actually a tissue is and how they are performing the different activities. Fine. Secondly, we will study about the different parts of the cell. So mainly we will go through the different coverings of the cell in case of the plant cell and the animal cell over here, as well as the cytoplasm, which is the main component of the cell, and the nucleus, which we also call as the brain of the cell. Fine. So we will study all these parts one by one, and finally we will compare the plant cell and the animal cell. So there are some of the basic differences between the plant cell and the animal cells because of the survival strategy of the plants and animals. So what are these differences are we will study in today's session. So are you all ready for getting this information? Yeah. Okay, chalo. So let's move on to today's topic. So we already know what is cell, right? So what is cell? Can you tell me? It is the basic fundamental unit of all the living organism and hence of our life, right? Also, we have discussed another definition of the cell in the previous chapter or the previous session, that is cell is the basic structural and functional unit of living organism. So over there I have already mentioned why we call the cell as the structural unit and why we call it as the functional unit, right? Why is it the structural unit? Will you be able to say yes in the chat box? Let me see who will be able to say that why cell is known as the structural unit and the functional unit. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so the cell is the structural unit because it gives a particular structure to each and every living organism, whether it is a plant, whether it is an animal, or it can be the very small microorganisms also. Right, so that is why we call cell as the structural unit of all the living organisms, and also cell is this functional unit. Why? Because it performs all the different functions. I have already said about the different components of the cells, right? Remember? Yes. So all these different components of the cell perform their specific function, and together all the cells perform the vital activities of our cell of our body, and that is why it helps us to survive properly, right? So this is all about the cell, which we already studied in the previous class. Now let me ask you one question. What constitutes a cell? Can you tell me, anybody? Yes, what is actually present within the cell? Yes, let me see who can give me the correct answer. Okay, so actually the cell consists of the different parts within it, right? What are the different parts? It can be the cytoplasm. The outer boundary is covered with the cell membrane and the cell wall only in the plant cells. Remember, we studied it. And also, the cell has the nucleus and the different cellular organelles, right? What are the different cell organelles? We have already mentioned about the mitochondria, Golgi apparatus, endoplasmic reticulum, vacuole, lysosome, plastids, right? Then centrioles, right? So these are all the different cellular organelles which are present within the cell. So all these very tiny, tiny parts actually composed of the whole cell. Fine? Up to this much clear? Okay. Now let's move on to the next portion of the cell where I have another question for you. Okay, so look at the picture over here. What is it? Yes, it is the eye. Okay, so is this organ made up of only one cell or different cells? Let me see who can give me the correct answer first. Yes, we already know that we have a different types of organs in our body, right? Not only eyes, we have the ears, we have the fingers, we have the skin, we have nose, we have the tongue, we have the stomach, liver, lungs, kidneys, right? So these are all the different organs of our body. So each of the organs are made up of only one cell or many cells. Let me see who can tell me this answer correctly in the chat box. Yes? Okay, so they are actually made up of many cells, right? And this group of cell, when they are performing a specific function, they make the tissue, right? So we can say that each and every organ is made up of the smaller parts which are called the tissues. So a group of cells make up the tissue while performing a specific function, and a group of tissue is making up the organ, right? You have already heard and you have already learned about the different parts of the eyes, right? I'm very sure about it. Okay, so what are the different parts of the eye, if I ask you? It can be the cornea, it is the retina, then pupil is present, iris is present, and the various other parts are also present, right? So each and every part is made up of different tissues. Okay, and these different tissues together form a vital organ. Okay, which will help you to see everything. Similar thing happen in case of the lungs, similar thing happen in case of our ears, and so on in each of the organs. So we can say that the tissue is the group of similar type of cells which are performing a specific function. Fine. So that is why a group of cells are making up the tissues, a group of tissues are making up the organ, a group of organ makes up the organ system. As I have already mentioned, what are the different organ systems? It can be the digestive system, circulatory system, respiratory system, nervous system, or excretory system, and so on, right? And all these systems or the organ systems are present, or they are combining with each other or coordinating it with each other to form the whole living organism, whether it is plant or animal or microorganism, everything is present within them. Fine. So up to this much, any question do you have in your mind, you can ask me in the chat box. Yes, no question. Okay, very good. So we have studied about the cells, tissues, organs, organ systems, and the living organism, the whole body of the living organism. So these are the basic levels or the arrangements of the living organism or the living body. Fine. Okay, so these are the level of organization of our body also. Now let us go back to the cell. So now let's discuss about what is actually present within the cell. Fine. So can you give me some of the parts of the cell which are visible under the microscope? In a very primitive type of microscope also we can see them, not only under the high power electron microscope or compound microscope. The simple microscope also can help us to see the different parts. What are they? Yes, they are the covering. We can see the boundary, right? Exactly. So we can see the boundary and the very tiny dots within the cell. Hannah? Exactly. And also we can see something fluid like structure is present in each of the blocks, right? Exactly. So we will study more about all these structures. So, have you ever seen the onion peel under the microscope after staining? Yeah, this activity you can do at school where there is the availability of the microscope and the staining process with the help of your teachers, where you need to peel the very thin skin of the inner skin of the onion, and you have to stain it first, and you can take it within the slide and cover it with the cover slip, and this thing will be visible under the microscope. So what is clearly visible over here? Yes, can you see the boundaries? Yes, I'm making the boundary, one of the boundary for you. Yes, this is the boundary you can see. Okay, can you see each and every blocks are having the small tiny dots? Can you tell me what are these dots? And there are some jelly like things which are present over here, right, within each and every blocks. So can you tell me the names of all these parts? Yes, we will mainly discuss about these parts in today's session. Yes. Okay, so let me tell you what are these. These dots, we can see these are the nucleus of the cell. Okay, these boundaries are actually the cell wall, as it is the onion peel. So onion is a part of the plant, right? We all know that. And so plant cell has its boundary as the cell wall. So cell wall is only present in the plant cell, it is not present in the animal cell. I have already mentioned it, remember? Okay, and the jelly like fluid which I have drawn into like in yellow color, that is the cytoplasm. Fine. So this is the cytoplasm. Okay. And just beneath the cell wall, there is also the cell membrane. So cell membrane, always remember that it is present in both plant cell as well as the animal cells. Fine. Up to this much clear? Okay. Chalo. So let us move on to the parts of the cell. Over here, we have already seen the cell wall. We have seen the cytoplasm, which is the just the fluid which is present within the cell. And we have also seen the tiny dots in each of these boxes. Those are known as the nucleus. Right? So we will study the detail of these three things. Okay, these three parts of the cell now. So let's start with the cell membrane. So as I have already mentioned that cell membrane is also known as the plasma membrane, and this is present within the plant cell as well as the animal cell. So in all the plants and animal cell, the outer boundary is the cell membrane. Right? So what is it? It encloses the two main parts of the cell, that is, one is the cytoplasm, that is the jelly like fluid, and second is the nucleus, which is the brain of the cell, because the nucleus actually controls all the vital activities of the cell. Fine. Okay. Now this cell membrane or the plasma membrane separates the cell from one another. So there are millions and millions of cells present within our body. Hannah. So if there is no any boundary between them, then all the different components and the cell organelles will get mixed up with each other. Right? So there must be some boundary so that the components of each and every cells will be distinct. Yeah, it will be present only in a particular cell, right? And this is the boundary which we call as the plasma membrane. Now think about another situation. You are in the room and you need to go to the next room. Okay, so through which you will pass? Through what actually you have to pass to reach to the next room? Yeah, anybody, can you tell me? Yes, you have to go through the door, right? So over here within our cell, the plasma membrane also acts as a door. The plasma membrane has lots and lots of pores within it. Okay, so this plasma membrane is porous, and it allows all the substances, the different substances which needs to come inside the cell to move it inside, or which needs to go out of the cell to move outside. Okay, so this plasma membrane has some pores, and these pores act as the door through which the different important molecules will come inside the cell, as well as the unnecessary molecules will go out of the cell. Fine. And that is why this plasma membrane is also known as the selectively permeable membrane. Why is it selectively permeable? Because it does not allow everyone to get inside the cell or everyone to go out of the cell. It only selects certain molecules which is necessary for the functioning of the cell to get inside it, and others are not allowed. Fine. Okay, up to this much clear? Okay, so this is the main work of the plasma membrane. As well as the plasma membrane gives the support and it helps to maintain the proper shape of the cell. Fine. Now, in case of the plant, this plasma membrane too is also present, but one additional covering is also present above the plasma membrane. Okay, what is it? It is the cell wall. Very good. So the cell wall is only present within the plant cell, but the plasma membrane is present in both plants and animal cells. Up to this much clear? Yes? Okay. Now let us move on to the function of the plasma membrane. If you get a question like what is the main function of the plasma membrane or cell membrane, what will you answer? It gives the proper shape to the cell. Okay, so shape of the cell is very much needed in both the plants and animal body, and that is why it gives a proper shape to the cell. So this is all about the cell membrane. Now let us move on to our next question. Why do plants need an extra cell wall? हमें तो नहीं लगता. Yes, our body is very much functional. We do a lot of activities. We run, we walk, we do a lot of studies, है ना? तो हमें भी तो सेल वॉल होना चाहिए. तो इतना इम्पोर्टेंट एक चीज और इतना इम्पोर्टेंट एक पार्ट जो हमें नहीं है, कोई एनिमल्स के अंदर नहीं है, सेल्स में नहीं है, पर प्लांट्स में है. क्यों? What is so important for the plants? Yes? Have you ever thought of it? Yes? Why do the plants need some extra thing, that is the extra cell wall, extra protective covering? Yes? Okay, it is for the protection. Okay, because they need more protection because they cannot locomote. They cannot move from one place to another. Have you ever seen any plant which is walking in the road? Yeah? If it really happens, how awkward, how like it's really very like dangerous, है ना? Okay, chalo. So let us see why they need such protective measure or the cell wall and extra covering for them. Okay, so as we already know that the plants cannot move from one place to another, and they are so much exposed to all the different natural phenomena, right? All the different natural calamities also we can say, that is the variation in the temperature, it can be the high wind speed, it can be the atmospheric moisture. So that is why to overcome all of them they need such extra protection for their body, and that is given by the cell wall. Fine, up to this much clear? So think of a situation that it is very much raining and it can be like a cyclone is coming in your area. Okay, so like we have got the alert from the different radio stations, or we can say the TV and news channels, that we have to be very much careful between this period because cyclone is coming in our area, है ना? So we can take shelter within our home, but the plants can do it. Can the plants come inside our home or inside certain shelter? No, they are exposed to all these natural calamities and they have to face it by standing straight at that area or that position only. And that is why they require some extra protection which is given by the cell wall of each of the plant cells. Clear here? Up to this much? Why they need such extra protection? Okay, but we do not need it because our body is flexible. We can move around, we can locomote, we can go to somewhere else, we can take a shelter somewhere else, and we are not that much exposed to the natural calamities. Fine, up to this much clear? Okay, now let us move on to the next part, that is the cytoplasm. So, what actually the cytoplasm is? Yes, it is the fluid or the jelly like substance which is present within the cell membrane. Okay, now it is present just between the cell membrane and the nucleus. Okay, let me draw one thing and let me show you how it is present. So let it be a cell. Okay, and it is having the nucleus within it. So this outermost part is the cell membrane. I'm not mentioning whether it is a plant cell or animal cell. You can, because cell membrane is present in both the cells, so you can take it as the animal cell also. And this is the nucleus. Okay, now in between it, okay, I'm taking some other pen. So the region in between this cell membrane and the nucleus, there is the fluid which is present. Okay, which I am drawing with pink colored pen, and this is the cytoplasm. Here the cytoplasm is present in between the nucleus and the cell membrane. Now you will ask me that ma'am, साइटोप्लाज्म के अंदर भी तो कुछ फ्लूइड रहता है. Sorry, the nucleus के अंदर भी तो कुछ fluid रहता है, which I am drawing with red colored pen. Yes, exactly. Some fluid is also present within the nucleus and we call it as the nucleoplasm. Okay, and this cytoplasm and nucleoplasm together form the protoplasm. Okay, we will again look into this. Hi Shivansh, how are you? Okay, very good afternoon, beta. Okay, chalo. So, this nucleoplasm which is present within the nucleus and the cytoplasm which is present in between the nucleus and the cell membrane, they together form the protoplasm. Fine? Yeah, beta, I know you are in the school now. Okay, bye bye. Okay, okay, chalo. So, this is the main things which are present within the cell. Chalo. So I guess you have got an idea what is the cytoplasm, what is the nucleus, and what is the cell membrane. So this cytoplasm contain all the other cellular organelles, which can be the mitochondria, Golgi bodies, ribosome, lysosome, vacuoles, endoplasmic reticulum, and so on. Okay, so all these vital cell organelles are floating within the cytoplasm. Clear hai? Okay, now let's move on to the very important part of this chapter, that is nucleus. Nucleus is very important. Why? It is controlling the activity of all the cells. Okay, we can also call this nucleus as the brain of the cell. Fine. Now it is generally spherical, as already you have seen the different pictures of nucleus, and it is located mainly generally in the center of the cell. Okay, so the nucleus is separated from the cytoplasm by the nuclear membrane. Okay, the membrane which is known as the nuclear membrane. Again, let me draw it for you. Okay, I'm just drawing the nucleus now. I'm not drawing the whole cell. So this one is the nuclear membrane. Okay, you can see the nuclear membrane. It is a double membrane bound structure. Okay, this is called the nuclear membrane. I'm trying to show you all the different parts of the nucleus. Okay, उसके अंदर रहता है the very dense part of the nucleus, which we call as the nucleolus. Fine. Next, have you seen? I have drawn some of the pores. There are certain pores in between the nuclear membrane. So, through this pore, again, the vital things can get inside the nucleus and go out of the nucleus. Jaise, after the synthesis of the RNA go out of the nucleus towards the cytoplasm. So, cytoplasm kahan hai? Outside the nucleus. Let me give you a small part of the cell. Okay, this is a small part. So इसके अंदर nucleus मैं draw कर रही हूँ अभी. Okay, so within the nucleus there are the thread-like structures. Okay, which are known as the chromatin fiber or nuclear reticulum. Okay, so chromatin fibers are also present within the nucleus. Okay, and I'm just drawing the dots which are, I'm trying to mention it as the jelly like fluid which is present within the nucleus, that we call as the nucleoplasm. Okay, and this I have already mentioned, in between the two nuclear membrane these pores are known as nucleopore. Okay, so this is all about the whole structure of the nucleus. Have you got it? Yes, clear है ना अभी? तो this is the nuclear membrane which is separating the nucleus from the other different cellular organelles of the cytoplasm. Okay, chalo. So this diagram is also very important. You can draw it from here. Fine. Okay, now let's move on to more detail of the nucleus. So the nuclear membrane is also porous, as I have told you. Those pores are known as the nucleopore. They allow the movement of the different materials from the cytoplasm to inside the nucleus and vice versa. Fine. So over here you can see the nucleus. This is the nuclear membrane, the boundary which is covering the nucleus and separating it from the cytoplasm. Clear hai? And the light blue we can say this is the cytoplasm, and the outermost boundary of the cell is the cell membrane. Clear hai? Now let's look inside the nucleus what are actually present. So within the nucleus we can say nucleolus is present. I have already mentioned and I have already showed you what is the nucleolus, the very dense particle or the small spherical dense body within the nucleus is the nucleolus, right? And the thread-like structures which are known as the chromosomes. Fine. So I have already shown you the structures. Now let us more give the focus on the chromosomes. Okay. So when it is within the nucleus, let me draw it again for the second time. I'm not marking everything within it. Okay. When within the nucleus, we can see the thread-like structure. Okay. These thread-like structures are known as the chromatin fibers. Chromatin fibers. I've already mentioned this, right? Okay. So these are actually made up of the DNA and the different proteins. Okay. Now these chromatin fibers, when condensed, they form a different type of structure which seems to be X-shaped structure. And this X-shaped structures are known as chromosomes. So when can we find the chromosome? We can find the chromosome only during the cell division. Okay, you already know about the cell division. So cell divides to form the new cells, new baby cells, and the old cells are replaced by the new cells by the process of cell division. Growth and development happens due to the cell division. You already know. And during the cell division, these chromatin fibers become condensed. They become condensed to form the chromosomes. Clear hai? What are the chromatin fibers? Nothing but same thing is present in case of the chromosome. That is, the chemically they are same but structurally they are different. Okay, so the chromatin fiber structure is thread like and chromosome is X shaped like this. Clear hai up to this much? Now what is actually present within the chromosome? This chromosome carry the genes, very important thing which is present within the chromosome, that is the genes. So we will study about the gene. Now what is actually happen within the gene? They help to transfer the characters from the parents to the offsprings. Fine. So what can be the characters? It can be your hair, it can be your color of the hair or color of the eyeball or color of your like complexion. It can be the texture of your hair. It can be any sort of habits. It can also sometimes be the genetic disorders which are transferred from the parents to the offsprings. And who transferred them? The genes. Okay, they help to carry all these characters from the previous generation to the next generation. Fine. So the chromosomes can be seen only when the cell is dividing, and otherwise in the other time we only can see the chromatin fibers. So both of them are carrying the genes. Clear hai up to this much? Okay. Now what is meant by this transfer of the characteristic feature? See, look at this women, this is the mother of a child. Okay, can you see the texture of the hair? It is curly, right? Okay, so it can be possible most of the time that the daughter is also getting the same texture of the hair. हमें ऐसा होता है ना कि लोग बोलते हैं कि you have got this structure or this type of characteristic from your father or this type of character from your mother, है ना? So these are how these are passing. They are transferred through these genes. Fine, up to this much clear. So the transfer of this characteristic feature is very common, and as human being is having the characteristic feature both from the parents, from the father and the mother. Okay, that is why we also have some variation within us. Okay, it is not exactly that all the characteristics of father is coming to us or all the characteristic of mothers are coming to us. Actually we get 50-50 from all parents, both the father and mother. It depends upon the dominance of the character which will be expressed. So this dominance and expression of the character is there in the higher classes. You will study about it later on. So before going to this, just have a basic idea about the gene. That is, it is the unit of inheritance which actually carry the different characteristic features from the parents to the offspring. Clear hai? And it also controls the transfer of the hereditary characters from the parents to the offspring. So this is all about the gene, chromosome, chromatin. Okay, and everything is present within the nucleus. Up to this much clear hai? Yes. Okay, so as I've already said that different combination of genes are present within us that help us to become a distinctively different individual having the different characters of the parents of the both mother and the father, right? So all our characters are not exactly the same to them, but there are certain different mixture character we can say, है ना? Okay, now let's move on to the nucleus. The role of the nucleus, the function it performs is the gene which plays a vital role in the inheritance. All the characteristic features are coming from the parents to all of us, and the nucleus also act as a control center of the activities of the cell. Clear hai? And that is why it is known as the brain of the cell. I already mentioned, right? Up to this much clear? Any question you can ask me? Okay, chalo. Now let's move on to the protoplasm. Already I have said what is the protoplasm. It is the component, the entire living content within the cell. Okay, and it is the living component of the cell. Always remember it composed of the cytoplasm as well as the whatever is present within the nucleus. That is the nucleoplasm. So the cytoplasm and nucleoplasm together form the protoplasm, and it is the living substance of the cell. Clear hai? Up to this much, any question you can ask me in the chat box. Let me see who is giving like, comment and sharing with their friends. Okay, please do that. Chalo. So let's move on to certain type of nucleus. Nucleus are also not similar in all the different organisms. Okay, it can vary from one organism to another. So by looking into the basic difference of the nucleus, we can divide the cells into two types. Okay, so one is the prokaryotic cell, another one is the eukaryotic cell. Do you have any idea about them? Yes. Okay, so there are certain cells where the nucleus is not that much organized. As I have already shared, I have already drawn the picture of the nucleus, that they have a membrane, they have the nucleolus, within them they have the chromatin fibers, they have certain nucleoplasm. So a distinct true nucleus is there in certain cell, but it is not present in all cells. Okay, there are certain cells where the nucleus are not organized in a proper way and the nuclear membrane is absent. So in these cells, generally this type of cells we call them as the prokaryotic cell. For example, these are found in the bacteria and blue green algae. Okay, so can you see the bacterial cell? So have you seen any nucleolus or nuclear membrane over here? No, only we can see the thread-like structures. These are carrying the hereditary materials, right? So a proper true nucleus is not present over here. And this type of cell is known as the prokaryotic cell. Clear? So the cells having the nuclear material but not having a proper structure of the nucleus or the nuclear membrane, nucleolus, nuclear reticulum, properly nucleoplasm, this type of cells are known as the prokaryotic cells. Okay, so the organisms which having this type of cells are known as prokaryotes. Pro matlab primitive on and carrion matlab nucleus. So the organisms having this type of cells are having primitive type of nucleus, not the advanced type. Clear hai? Okay, so this type of cell we can find in the bacteria and blue green algae. Clear hai up to this much? Any question? Okay, now let us move on to another type of cell. Okay, so this is the picture of the human cheek cell. So if you just pull some of the tissue from the cheek inside of our cheek, okay, that is not that much painful. Okay, and if you stain it and if you see it under the microscope, you will be able to see this type of structure. So what is present actually within is the cell membrane, we can find the cytoplasm, we can find the nucleus. So over here the nucleus is very distinctive, or particularly we can see the nucleus having a proper boundary, having a proper membrane, nuclear membrane, having proper nucleolus and all the other different things within the nucleus, right? So this type of cells are known as the eukaryotic cell, okay, having a proper nucleus. So the cells having the well organized nucleus or a true nucleus with the nuclear membrane is known as the eukaryotic cell. Okay, the organisms with these kinds of cells are called eukaryotes. So in our body cells also, they are eukaryotic cell. Okay, so eukaryotic cell you can find in all the higher groups of plants and animals. Clear hai? Okay, so from this word eukaryotes, iska matlab kya hai? You matlab true, karyon matlab nucleus, right? So when a true nucleus is present within the cell, those cells are known as the eukaryotic cell. Clear up to this much? Any question you can ask me? Okay, so all these organisms except bacteria and blue-green algae, all other organisms are having this type of cell, that is eukaryotic cell, including human being. Clear hai? Yes, if you have any doubt, you can ask me in the chat box. I'll clear all your doubts. Okay. So let's move on to the last topic of discussion for today's session, that is the differences between plant cell and the animal cell. So we have already studied about all the parts of the cells. What are they? The cell membrane, cell wall which is present in the plant cell. We have mentioned the nucleus, a proper structure of the nucleus. We have also mentioned how the cells can be categorized in case of presence of proper nucleus and absence of nucleus, right? All these things, and also we have discussed about the cytoplasm. So these are the different parts we have already completed. Other than this, there are different types of cell organelles which are present within the cells, which are actually floating in the cytoplasm. But the detail of all these cell organelles are not there in your syllabus in class 8. You will study them in class 9. Okay? Chalo. So let us now move on to the last topic of discussion, that is the difference between plant cell and animal cell. As we have already mentioned that there are the different survival strategies of the plant and animals, right? तो इसीलिए प्लांट सेल का भी थोड़ा सा डिफरेंट स्ट्रक्चर्स होगा एंड एनिमल सेल का भी स्ट्रक्चर डिफरेंट होगा, राइट? सो cytoplasm contains the vacuoles. Okay, vacuole is one of the cell organelle. So how the vacuole seems to be present within the plant cell and the animal cell? This is the first basic difference. See, the plant cell is having large vacuole. Large and single vacuole is mainly present within the plant cell, which help them to maintain the water balance within their body. Okay, but in case of the animal cell, that much vacuole is not present. Sometimes it can be absent, or if it is present, very small vacuoles can be found within the animal cells. Clear? Now let us move on to the second difference, that is the plastid. These are the colored bodies which are present within the plant cells only, but not the animal cells. Do we have the green color or red color or any other color in our body? Yes, but the plants are having the red, yellow, and the various types of colored flowers and fruits, right? And also the green leaves, right? So, because of these plastids, which are present only in the plant cell, they provide the different colors to the plant body. Okay, now plastid can be of three types: chloroplast, leucoplast, and chromoplast. So, chloroplast is the green colored plastid which actually give the green pigment, that is chlorophyll. You already know that chlorophyll is the major component for the process of photosynthesis. If chlorophyll is not there, photosynthesis will not take place, right? Other than this, other plastids are also present. Chromoplast के अंदर different colors रहता है, different pigments रहता है, which give them the orange, yellow, red, violet, varieties of colors. And leucoplast actually helps to store the food, okay, the fatty food. Okay, so those are colorless plastids. So plastids are mainly present within the plant cell, but they are altogether absent within the animal cells. नहीं तो हम भी green colored का होते हैं, red, yellow होते हैं, है ना? Okay, so we do not have the plastids. Now, these are the basic two structure of the plant cell and the animal cell. You can over here look into the animal cell. They are having only one boundary, that is the cell membrane. They are having the ribosome, nucleus within it, cytoplasm, mitochondria, and the cell membrane. These are all present in the animal cells. But in case of plant cell, we can see a large vacuole. Can you see over here the large vacuole which is not present in the animal cell? And also the green structures. Can you see over here? These green structures are the chloroplast, which are only present in the plant cells. Okay, but other than this, almost all the organelles are same. Obviously, other different organelles are also present in animal cells, जैसे centrosome है, which is not present in the plant cell. So this is not there in your syllabus, so I'm not mentioning all these things. You will study this in the higher classes. So these are the basic structural difference of the plant cell and the animal cell, and most importantly you can see the boundary, that is the cell wall, which is only present in the plant cell but not present in the animal cell. Clear hai? So if you get any question what are the difference between the plant cell and animal cell, I guess you will be able to give at least 3 to 4 points, right? Okay, great. Now, this is all about today's session. So, hopefully, you have understood all of this. And if you have any doubt, any question, please ask me in the chat box. I'm looking into it. Before that, let me ask you some of the questions now. So, my first question is, how cell membrane is different from the cell wall? Yes. Anybody, can you tell me how cell membrane is different from the cell wall? Okay, so the cell membrane is present both in the plant cell and animal cell, and the cell wall is only in the plant cell, right? And cell membrane provides the shape to the cell, but cell wall actually provide the protection, extra protection to the plant cells because they are exposed to the natural phenomena as well as they give the rigidity to the plant cell. Clear hai? So these are the main differences between the cell wall and the cell membrane. Right? Now let's move on to the second question. Is it possible for a nucleus to not have its nuclear membrane? If yes, name the type of cell possessing this property. Yes? Who will be able to tell me this answer? Which cell do not have a proper nucleus? We call it as the primitive nucleus. Yes? Okay. So they are the prokaryotic cell. Please write down your answer in the chat box. Yes, so it is possible that nucleus may not have the nuclear membrane, and it is only possible in case of the prokaryotic cell. And we find this prokaryotic cell without nuclear membrane and the other different structures of the nucleus in case of bacteria and blue-green algae, right? Okay. Now my third question is, what are the differences between plant cell and the animal cell? Let me find at least one or two difference. Let me get the answer from you. Yes, yes, yes. Let me see who can give me the correct answer. At least 1 point. Yes, Shivansh. Okay, so already we have mentioned three main points of the point of difference of the plant cell and the animal cell. That is, cell wall is present only in the plant cell but absent in the animal cells. In case of plant cell, vacuoles are single and big vacuoles to maintain the water balance. But in case of the animal cell, smaller vacuoles are present and plastids are present within the plant cell, but in case of animal cells, they are absent. Right? Very good. Now let us move on to the last question for today's class. That is, what do you mean by nucleolus? What is the nucleolus? Yes, where is it present? Think about it. We have studied about the nucleus, we have studied about the cytoplasm, cell membrane. So in which structure we can find this nucleolus? Yes? Okay, very good. So we find this nucleolus within the nucleus, right? So it is the spherical body which is present within the nucleus, mainly in the eukaryotic cell. Okay, so we find this nucleus within the eukaryotic cell. Clear, hai? Okay, so this nucleus also contains the thread-like structures which are known as chromosomes, which carry the genetic materials in our body. Okay. Chalo. So this is all about today's session, and then let me give you a very interesting fact for today's session. You already know that the skin is our vital organ, right? It helps us to feel everything, right? Exactly. So just like the liver, heart, and kidney, it is also the outermost covering of our organs, right? So an average man has enough skin on his body, right, to cover the whole body, and it can be the approximate 20 square feet, and in case of women it can be approximately 17 square feet of the body is covered with the skin. Now approximately 12% of our body weight is the weight of our skin. Okay, and your skin replaces 45,000 cvs other cells in one only few seconds. Okay, it's constantly growing the new skin and shedding off the old skin. Okay, remember this fact. This is a very interesting fact. So, by this, let me end today's session. So, what we have learned today, we have discussed about the tissue, how they are forming, what are the different tissues in our body, and how they are making up the organs. We have also discussed about the different parts of the cell like nucleus, cytoplasm, protoplasm, cell membrane, cell wall, and all of these parts. And also we have studied about the differences between the plant cell and the animal cell along with the diagram, right? So this is all for today's session. Hopefully you have also understood whatever I have discussed in this session. So thank you for being with Swiflearn and stay with Swiflearn. So for staying with us and looking into all the classes of Swiflearn, what you have to do, please subscribe our channel in YouTube, press on the bell icon, and you will never miss the update of all other sessions. Okay, so please give like, comment, and share, and stay with Swiflearn. So we will again meet in another session, hopefully. And till then, take care. Bye bye. Stay safe and stay healthy. Bye bye.